breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
Over by 2040. Immigration is a huge issue in the United States, especially illegal immigration. Which is why we are lucky that the Trump administration is in power, because they are highly eager and willing to combat and attack this issue head-on. Which is especially helpful given the current statistics on immigration that were released. The population of Muslim individuals immigrating legally and illegally to the United States has been exploding in recent years. Statistics that were recently released indicate that within the next 30 to 40 years the Muslim population will be the second largest religious group in the United States. The Pew Research Center said that there were around 3.45 million Muslims living in the U.S. in 2017, which makes them around 1.1% of the total population. They projected that by the year 2040 there will be more Muslim Americans than Jews. Oras.com reported. Muslims have been part of America's religious landscape since the country's founding. The first wave of Muslims arrived in the U.S. as slaves, many of whom were later forcibly converted to Christianity. Pew first began collecting estimates about the size of the country's Muslim population in 2007. Since then, the religious group appears to have grown at a rate of about 100,000 per year, fueled by high fertility rates and continued migration to the U.S. Pew projects that the Muslim population will grow faster than America's Jewish population. In early 2017, Pew reported that Jews accounted for about 2% of the U.S. adult population. They are currently the second largest religious group. Pew predicts that by 2040, Muslims will become the second largest religious group. By 2050, the American Muslim population is projected to reach 8.1 million, or 2.1% of all Americans. Despite American Muslims' fast rate of growth, it is important to note that they will continue to be a religious minority in an overwhelmingly Christian country. Pew's 2014 landmark religious landscape survey shows that Christians made up a whopping 70.6% of the U.S. adult population. On the other hand, non-Christian faiths, including Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus and others, only made up about 5.9%. The Huffington Post reported. Pew projects that the Muslim population will grow faster than America's Jewish population. In early 2017, Pew reported that Jews accounted for about 2% of the U.S. adult population. They are currently the second largest religious group. Pew predicts that by 2040, Muslims will become the second largest religious group. By 2050, the American Muslim population is projected to reach 8.1 million, or 2.1% of all Americans. Newsweek went more in depth in their research reporting. In 2007, there were approximately 2.35 million Muslims living in the U.S. According to Pew's projections, the Muslim population is growing much faster than the country's Jewish population, and by 2050, the U.S. Muslim population will reach 8.1 million, or 2.1% of the nation's total population. That's twice their representation today. In fact, the U.S. Muslim population increases at about 100,000 people every year. This increase isn't due to religious conversions, because about as many Americans convert to Islam as those who leave Islam, the study shows. Indeed, while about 1 in 5 American Muslim adults were raised in a different faith tradition and converted to Islam, a similar share of Americans who were raised Muslim now no longer identify with the faith, the study read. So many of these Muslim Americans moved to the U.S. from other countries. Americans are evenly split on whether Muslims in the U.S. wish to assimilate, according to a separate Pew study, but a majority of Americans believe that having an increasing number of people from many different races, ethnic groups and nationalities is a positive for the U.S. Despite this, hate crimes and assaults against Muslim Americans are increasing each year. There were more assaults against Muslim Americans in 2016 than in 2001, the year of the attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon, according to a Pew Research Center analysis of new hate crime statistics from the FBI. In 2016, there were 307 incidents of anti-Muslim hate crimes, marking a 19% increase from 2015. However, the largest number of all types of hate crimes against a religious group was toward Jewish Americans. In 2016, there were 684 anti-Jewish hate crime incidents, marking a slight increase from 664 in 2015, a report from Pew Research Center read. By comparison, in 2016, there were 62 hate crimes against Catholics and 15 against Protestants. The rise in the Muslim population will no doubt lead to a decrease in the population of Christians, which is what the United States is predominantly made up of. Being a Christian will make you a minority. In all likelihood, being white will also make you a minority as well. The overwhelming diaspora into our country is a concern that many countries have. Not just the United States. Western countries such as the United Kingdom, Ireland, France, Germany etc. are all dealing with a rise in the population of Muslim individuals as well, and it too is something they are struggling to deal with. At the end of the day, society is based on the principles of economics, and all economics is based on scarcity. We have scarce resources and must distribute them according to that philosophy. If we continue to see an abnormal rise in our population, we simply won't have the resources to take care of them the way they'd need to be. Share if you agree that these statistics are concerning and need to be handled before it becomes a larger issue at hand.